Hey, it's Irate-Marauder here. And I was like, I want to do a review. Oh yeah, and I'm back again for another video, obviously. I wanted to do a review, and I didn't want to write one out this time. Mainly because the last one I wrote out, and I was just kind of like, eh. So, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to try and make my reviews mainly video. Once in a while I'll do type-up review, because type-up reviews take a little bit more time, and I really have to think about it. Well, videos just kind of put me on the spot, and that's when I get what I think is like what's going to be basically the rough, what would be like basically the review I write down. It just takes a little bit less time and it's more fun for my eyes. So take the glasses off so you don't see the glare. Put them right here. So a lot of new albums have been coming out. See, Pharrell's album came out. Schoolboy Q's, Kid Cudi, Rick Ross. That's all I really remember right now. But yeah, there's a couple albums that came out this year so far, 2014. But honestly, this is probably going to be the year of the Beatles, so we're just going to keep on doing Beatles reviews. You're going to notice a trend here in the next couple of videos. Maybe, I haven't decided yet. There might be a whole bunch of Beatles reviews up because I want to kind of review all the albums, and then at the end I'll give like this whole perspective, whatever the word is, a whole overlook on their career. And then what I'm going to do is, it's probably going to be like a 30-minute video, and I'll talk about each album and how each album basically, I'm going to be talking about mostly about the UK ones, but I'll definitely review the US ones when the time comes, and this video might actually have a US album in it, so watch out for that. But I'll be like, at the end, I'll talk about how every UK album was better than the next, and how it improved on everything, and I'll give my total score of each album at the end, and my total score on the Beatles' career at the end, hopefully. Hopefully I don't forget about this and don't even do the video, because that'll fucking suck. But we're not here to predict the future, but I don't know how that's predicting the future. We're here to talk about album reviews. I think I'm going to do two today. Why not? Because fuck it, YOLO, because YOLO's still a thing, right? I'm just thinking about two off the top. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, let's do two. Okay. And I'm just gonna go. I'm doing this right on the spot. I'm picking out right on the spot. So, if you guys have a suggestion, please comment. And obviously, I won't see it by it goes up, but you know, I'll definitely keep it in mind because I have a lot of albums I can review on here. You know what? Let's just go with the one I originally planned, and then I might do another one. It counts. So this one is also gonna be should you pick it up? Because now I didn't pick this up, but the Beatles US box set came out in late January of this year, and it's pretty cool. I mean, I don't own it, obviously. I just said that. But it's nice to have finally every single US album except for introducing the Beatles and a couple other like bootleg type of things out for the first time. Some of them are out for the first time, but you know, we have them officially out, and you don't have to go out and buy a box set to get them. Just like in 2006, where you had to get like the both box sets to get like half of the albums or something like that, or all of them except for like 4 or 5. So it's really nice to have all the albums out, and being a Beatles fan I have them. I have all the US albums, so obviously I don't have the box set, I just have the MP3s of them. But today, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to review the Beatles Story, which came out in 1966, 1964, and then I'm going to tell you at the end if it's really worth getting the box set over just getting the individual ones, because the Beatles Story isn't exclusive to the box set. I'll tell you if that's really worth getting. Okay, so let me just start off by saying, today was my first time listening to the Beatles Story, and I can tell you this much. For 1964, it works. For 2014, it doesn't work, honestly. Considering that if you're remotely a huge Beatles fan, everything they talk about on here, or at least a big majority of it, you already know. And that's not even from, like, researching it. That's just from looking up the Beatles and then reading, like, a Wikipedia article, you know what I mean? And obviously I'm lying down, because I don't care. Fuck you and your fucking opinions. I'm just kidding. But, why would I even want to... Let me move this camera. I'm sorry, I'm just fucking fidgety today. Why in the hell, honestly, we're going to have to be honest here, would you want to go and listen to the Beatles story when you are expecting something you never knew? Because, honestly, the only thing I didn't know... No, even that, no, never mind. I basically knew everything that they were talking about. Except for the retarded reason of how Beatlemania is, or what the fuck Beatlemania is. And they're like, oh, it's a disease, or something stupid like that. I was like, no, it's a movement. It's kind of like the Yes movement in WWE. It's kind of like the hippie movement in the 60s, 70s, you know what I mean? It's just a fucking movement, you know? It faded, but, I mean, it's coming back. I mean, we have a lot of Beatles fans out there, so it's not really a big deal. But I'm not going to go track by track on this one, because honestly, I will say this about the album. It sings together well. I will say that. Otherwise, I don't really know. I mean, okay. Before we had the internet, this was probably the best way to get a good Beatles story if you didn't know about them. But considering that around 1980, there was probably a few dozen documentaries on them, and around the early 80s, John Lennon died, so they had to have something about him, and later on, George Harrison died, so they had to have something on him, and then Paul McCartney had a couple things on him, probably, and Ringo probably had a few things on him. Like, it's kind of like, even if you didn't have the album, you probably know a lot of the shit they're talking about on the album from watching regular TV, or just buying a book. Because honestly, if you bought a book, which were, honestly, I'm going to be honest, books were a lot more popular back then than they are now, because right now, a lot of people are going and getting books online, and they're doing digital books, which that's fine, but, you know, back then they were much more popular. I'm talking about physical books, you know what I mean? I'm not talking about books in general, physical books, physical literature. So, back then, it was kind of like, okay, we can either pick up this probably like under $5 album, because, you know, prices back then were a little bit different, or we could pick up this less than $3 book. Let's be honest. If it's a book about the Beatles, it might have been like under $3. Even a magazine, and it would have told you, a magazine for 10 cents, it would have told you everything that you heard on this album. And honestly, I came in here thinking I would learn at least one new thing. And I literally cannot remember any new thing. They were talking about the cavern. They were talking about a little bit of Hamburg. I think I'm saying it right? Hamburg? What? Germany. They said that Ringo's the oldest, which is obvious, honestly. Let's see. They talked about Paul's mom. I think they talked about John's parents. They talked about Ringo's sicknesses, which is funny, because I actually first heard about that back in February or whatever, when the 50th Beatles anniversary thing was on. That was like... I mean, I laughed at that kind of, because it was just kind of like... It was so fucked up. Like, me and my mom were watching. We were like sitting there, and they're like, oh, he got leukemia. I was like, oh. And he was like, then he got better. And then he got really sick again. I was like, oh shit. That's fucking terrible. But, honestly, I'm gonna be honest again. This is a really pointless album. Like, this is almost as pointless to listen to as the early Beatles album is. Because the early Beatles album... I mean, let's be perfectly honest. The early Beatles album is Please Please Me. Except for minus a few tracks. And it's fucked up. And also, you know what else is an album that was never released on CD? Or with this set, it's not released on CD? Introducing the Beatles. I think, right? Something like that. Yeah, Introducing the Beatles. It has to be Introducing the Beatles, because there's Meet the Beatles, With the Beatles, Introducing the Beatles. So what's the fucking point of having it? But if I was to give it a score, I'd probably give it a 5 out of 10. Because I would have gotten like a 7 or an 8 out of 10 back in the day, but considering it's 2014, there's Wikipedia, there's a Beatles Bible, there's... Where's the side of Paper Cup, I think the website's called. You have all these websites. You don't need to listen to the Beatles story unless you're, like, kind of bored. Which, honestly, I was kind of bored. That's why I listened to it. I was like, Okay, yeah. Yeah, let's listen to it. I have nothing else better to do. So, I'd probably give it a 5 out of 10. Yeah. It's really irrelevant now that the internet's here, so, I mean, take it or leave it. And I'm not going to do another album review tonight, or at least on this video, so. I'll probably do one after this of another album. Now, is it worth getting the box set just to get the Beatles story? Honestly, if you didn't buy any of the US albums solo CD, yeah, it's probably the best buy because you do get another album, and you could say you own every Capitol Beatles album on CD. But otherwise, if you have, or if you have it on record, don't even bother, honestly. But I mean, that's all I really have to say. Like, don't. I would say if you're gonna buy the box set, buy it for all the albums, but don't buy it just because the Beatles story and there's a book, because that's like a waste of your money there, honestly. And because, honestly, if you think about it, every other album is in mono and stereo too, so that's a really good fucking deal. You're basically getting. You could be buying both the mono and stereo box set if they were real assholes about it. So, I mean, it's up to you. I would honestly say I'm probably not going to pick up the box set because I can just go out and buy all the individual albums and still get the same albums, and if I really need to, I can always go on eBay and buy the Beatles story. I mean, it's not that big of a deal. So, what would I give the box set? Honestly, I'd probably give it a 9 because the Beatles story kind of brings it down. And otherwise, all the other albums are... Honestly, I've listened to every fucking US Beatles album, except for Help still, for some reason. I get kind of bored in Help, and then I just kind of quit out. But I've listened to all of them. Not in mono and stereo, just mono, because I feel like stereo, I've already heard the stereo mixes, and I think they use the stereo mixes for the stereo versions, and they use the mono mixes from 2009 and stereo mixes from 2009 in these versions, so I want to see what the stereo 2009 versions are. And some of them actually do have the original stuff that they had on the record. So, like the false starts and shit like that. So, if we want to get it, again, go right ahead. I'm not going to stop you. But just don't buy it if you just want the CD and the book. You can probably find it on eBay for cheaper. Anyway, my throat is killing me, so I don't know if I'm actually going to do another video after this, so probably my last video of the night. Probably my only video of the night. But, gotta do the Paul impression. I'm sorry, folks. Like a favorite if you want. Please dislike if you fucking hate it, but I don't give a fuck because I'm Paul McCartney. And if you want, please subscribe so you get more updates on this beautiful man's face. But, what the fuck else do I say? I guess goodbye. Yeah. What's my name? Oh, just kidding. Because again, I fucked up, and I fucking clicked out of the video. Well, we're still recording. What do you guys want to see? You know what? We're here. Let me give you a quick update really fast. I bought Stick of Truth, Software Stick of Truth, so there might be an update, there might be a review on that very soon, hopefully. Yeah, I'm just trying to stall because I fuck up the video again. I always fuck it up because I always keep them, that's serious, I keep the mouse on the icon on the bottom, on the toolbar, wherever it is, toolbar, start bar, whatever the fuck you want to call it, and I went to go, when I went like, what's my name? And then I clicked the fucking icon, because I thought the mouse was on the stop button. Whatever. Shout out to Christian Rossi. Shout out to, Thomas Fouter Jr. Shout out to Stevie Breach. Hello, Stevie Breach here. Shout out to Paul McCartney. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, I'm sorry. We're gonna try this again, alright? I'm not gonna do Paul McCartney, but... Peace, guys. I hope you have a wonderful day. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. If it's your birthday, cool, whatever. Fuck off. Don't bother me. Don't bother me. I'm just kidding. Okay. 1, 2, 3... What's my